Right, welcome to another biology lab homework video, and what we're going to look at here is the peripheral nervous system. Okay, remember just a bit of active recall here because of course we're going to accelerate your learning, right? Get it? Acceleration, car. We're going to accelerate your learning, and to do that we need to actively revise what you already know. So without looking at your notes, let's see if we can recall some of the stuff that you've looked at with the central nervous system and the nervous system in general, right? If you've been watching these series of videos, we started off defining what the central nervous system was, or what the nervous system was in our bodies, that it was a way to detect the environment and to allow us to survive. And it was a fast-acting response as compared to the slower-acting endocrine system or hormones. But then we talked about the different divisions of our nervous system. We talked about the central nervous system, that's right, which was made up of the brain and spinal cord, and then we had the peripheral nervous system, and that's what we're going to be looking at in this video, is the peripheral nervous system. And of course with our central nervous system you will be able to draw the brain, the different parts of the brain, and name their functions, because you've already got that nicely coloured in your book. And if you can't remember some of those bits and pieces, you need to go back and revise. But we're going to look at the peripheral nervous system in this video here, so let's check it out. So we said that the peripheral nervous system is to do with the outside. The word peripheral means around the outside. Okay, so if you're like computers, you might know that the central core processor is in the middle of your computer, but then your peripherals are the things that you use, such as your mouse, your keyboard, your monitor. They're called peripherals because they're outside the main part or core of the computer. Well, the same goes when we talk about locations of things. If I'm talking about a room, then the walls are on the periphery or on the outside of the room. Well, with the nervous system, the nerves are peripheral. They're outside the central nervous system. And so all of these nerves that you can see here are part of the peripheral nervous system. So our central nervous system is the brain, and then we have our spinal cord down here, but all those nerves we were talking about before in the last video that come out from the central nervous system, they are part of the peripheral nervous system. Now what do? Well, the peripheral nervous system, as we just said, is outside of the central nervous system. But we said they connect organs. So you can see I've got lots of pictures here to do with different types of organs. They connect those organs, limbs and skin to the central nervous system. Okay, so of course you're writing all this down and you're pressing the video to make sure you get this down. But all of this is important because you need to think about something. If you see something with your eyes, that signal, that stimuli, that light that's coming into your eyeball, it gets from here, gets transferred to your brain, and then the brain interprets it. So our peripheral nervous system gets those signals from the outside environment, sends them to our central nervous system, and then we can interpret it. It allows us to react to stimuli in our environment. So for example, let's say you're walking along the beach and you step on a nail or something sharp, like a sharp seashell. Well, that's going to cause you pain. That signal of pain needs to be sent via the peripheral nervous system to your spine. Then it goes up from your spine to your brain, and then you realize you've just stepped on something very, very sharp. So being able to detect stimuli is very important. Let's just think about light for a second. You're watching this video and there's light coming from the screen into your eyes. However, if the screen is very, very bright, that brightness gets detected by your eyes, gets sent to your brain. Your brain says, hang on, the light's too bright, sends a signal down to your iris to then contract, and then you end up having less light go into your eyes, right? You might even squint a little bit with your eyes as well. So the peripheral nervous system is sending signals from our environment to our brain, to our central nervous system, where we can process it. So if we to divide this up into two sections, the peripheral nervous system is made up of this nervous system here called the somatic. So soma means body, so it's the part of your body nervous system, and that's all the sensory information we just talked about. So all the information coming from your bowel, from your liver, from your stomach, from your heart, from your lungs, from your eyes. All this information's been coming from sensory parts of your body, and we're going to talk a bit about that later. But it's also your autonomic nervous system as well, things that you can't control, and this is sort of where this diagram sort of comes in here. We've got our flight or fight responses here. right? These are big words here which you don't really have to know about until you get to senior biology, sympathetic and parasympathetic. But it's all about setting your body up to survive. Remember, right at the very beginning when we faced our tiger, we said that you can either decide to fight or fight. Whichever one you decided, you needed your nervous system. And so if you were just to go into fight, then you would go one side, or flight the other side. So there's sort of like opposite sort of things for your body there. So that is our peripheral nervous system. How do your notes look? Do they look something like this? Are they using colour? Do you have a little diagram to visually remind you the difference between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system? Right? Do you have questions in your side there about what things you need to look at? So in other words, what is it meant by stimuli? And then you've got the answers there in green. Do you have the flow diagrams down in colour? Do you have the key points? So this is it. Key to taking effective notes is making them active. Step 1 is having great notes, but then step 2 is you need to revise them, and that's why in our homework videos here we're constantly doing active revision to bring that knowledge to the front of your brain. The more times you do that, you won't need to study your notes anymore because it's already there in your head. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one where we look a little bit more detail into our nervous system. See you then.